So I've been working out of this office for about 2 years now, and I realized that I've never actually spoken about my desk or the office in general. So I thought it was the perfect time to do a little desk setup, a little desk tour. And if you're interested, let me know and I'll do a full office tour in the future. So you've probably noticed that I'm the furthest thing from a minimalist. My desk is not empty. I have a lot of knickknacks, a lot of different things that bring me inspiration, and I love to collect various items at flea markets, on my travels, and I like to have them on my desk. The main reason is that I just draw inspiration from looking at my little trinkets and things on my desk, and oftentimes I'll go and grab magazines, I'll grab different things to help me gain inspiration. You can see behind me I have these 2 large shelves where I keep a bunch of things that I love, things that really inspire me, and I just love that feeling of being engulfed in inspiration. I don't know, it just keeps me grounded and locked in and in the zone. So if you notice, my desk is pretty large. It's not a traditional desk. It's actually a dining table from IKEA. I believe it's called the Ypperlig. It's about 2 meters by 90 centimeters. It's basically a 6-person dining table that I use in my old place, and when I moved here, I just decided to bring it into this room. I love having a little bit of distance between my monitor and myself, and I just love having this extra real estate, this extra space to put all of my stuff that I collect. When I do top-down shots, it adds a lot of visual interest, and I just love the look of having a bunch of different things being full. So this extra 2 meters is really key, and I love having all this extra space to put all of my things. I'm using the MacBook Pro M4 Max. It's basically the spec'd out version. It doesn't have the full storage. I think I just have 2 terabytes, I believe, in my MacBook. I was using the MacBook Pro M1 Max for a number of years. I love the machine, didn't have any problems, but I thought it was time to upgrade to the M4 Max, and I'm super happy I did. I have, basically it's halved kind of the processing time for most tasks, specifically when you're running like AI tools or Lightroom, or you're working with big raw files. The M4 Max just gives you that little bit extra speed. In the long run, upgrading from the M1 to the M4 and saving basically almost like half your speed for exporting and rendering, it saves me a lot of time and it saved me a lot of money. So I think it was a pretty worthy investment. For the longest time, I didn't even have a monitor. I just worked off of the MacBook straight off the laptop, but I decided that I needed something just a little bit larger for real estate, for video editing especially. And last November, I decided to splurge a little bit of money and buy the Apple Pro Display XDR. And the XDR is basically a 6K, 32-inch beautiful display. It's the reason why I wanted the XDR is because of the 6K large screen. The real estate is huge for video editing, for photo editing. The color rendition is unbelievable. And going from a 16-inch MacBook Pro to basically double the width, but like 4 times the screen real estate, it's just been so useful for video editing. I don't know how I was working without a monitor for so long. I've got the XDR display attached to an Ergotron HX desk arm, and this arm is just attached to my desk, clamped on my desk. And it's basically a movable arm that allows me to reposition the XDR in a bunch of different angles. I decided to get this over the standard desk stand just because I wanted that maneuverability, especially when I do the top-down shots. I wanted to move the XDR out of my shots. And another funny thing about this is that you can actually rotate the XDR vertically. So if you want to watch your reels in like a ridiculous playback screen, just rotate it and it'll actually natively flip the screen. So it's vertically oriented like an iPad or any other like Apple device. And it's pretty crazy. I almost never use it in vertical display, but it's a fun feature to have. It's actually difficult to find the right arm for the Pro Display XDR. This is such a heavy monitor. I was looking online to find some information on what was recommended and I couldn't find much. So I just kind of like gambled and got this aluminum chrome arm. It matches the back of the XDR super nice. It fits perfectly, and I also love chrome, so it fit the aesthetic, fit the vibe. It was perfect. One of the downsides of the Pro Display XDR is that it actually doesn't have a camera or speakers. So for meetings, I actually have to just open up my MacBook and use the built-in camera. I know there's cameras you can attach to your display, but it's just super easy to just open up your MacBook and hop on a Zoom call, and then when you're done, close it and go back to your work. For speakers, I just have the Bose Companion 2 Series 3 speakers. They were just a super cheap pair of Bose speakers that sound decent, not my favorite, but they're tilted up towards me and they get the job done. I'll probably upgrade these at some point, but for the time being, they work pretty well. I've got my MacBook propped up on like a third-party stand. I forgot the name of the brand, but it just keeps it elevated just a slight touch. I mean, I could elevate it all the way, but just leaving it here just so it's not flush against the table and I can still see my computer. I'm using the Magic Keyboard with the numeric keypad. I just like it because it has Touch ID. It's super useful and the size is great. I don't have a mechanical keyboard. I'm totally fine with the Magic Keyboard. I think it's a great size and feel. And I just like how it's very similar to the MacBook keyboard. I have the Magic Trackpad, which I use sometimes. I wish I used it more. I love the gesture control on it, but for the most part, I use the Logitech MX Master 3S. This is a super basic mouse that most people use, but having the 2 scroll wheels and also being able to assign different commands to different movements, like when you click and drag a certain way, you can assign different commands to each one of those things. So there's basically like, I have this set up so there's maybe 12 to 15 specific shortcuts in Premiere Pro and different things throughout different websites and different applications that make this a super big time saver. And now that I'm used to it, I could not live without this. Moving along, I have this Anker 3-in-1 wireless charging station, which I keep my Apple Watch, Apple Ultra 2 on, my phone, and also my AirPods. They're just charging at all times. It's super useful. They're all MagSafe, so I just pop them on when I sit down to get to work. And when I'm done, I just pull off whatever device that I need to use, and they're always charging. This is like just under $100, but I think it's honestly one of the most convenient things that I've purchased for the last year. And if you don't have one of these, I'd really recommend. They have like 2-in-1s if you don't have like a watch, if you just have like AirPods in your phone. But the 3-in-1, if you have all 3 devices, it's a complete game changer and I love it. I also love the feeling of physical mediums. And so I have a few different notebooks. I have a planner. I have a notebook where I keep a bunch of ideas that I like to jot down. And I also have a checklist, which I made a whole video about. I love these checklists. I keep my ideas and also my to-dos for every day that I need to get done by the end of the day. Once I'm done, I just check off each task. And by the end of it, it's just super satisfying to see all of the things that you've accomplished throughout your day. At the end, check off the last thing, call it a day, rip it out, crumple it up, throw it in the trash. It's such a little thing, but that feeling of feeling accomplished at the end of the day, it's a super nice thing, especially when you're working by yourself and you don't have a boss or, you know, somebody who's like sitting over you or somebody you have to check into or check out to. When you're working by yourself as a freelancer, having these little things to kind of get yourself in a place of normality really helps in keeping your productivity up and keeping your motivation up. For audio, what I have is I've got the Shure SM7B here, which I use for all of my talking heads, all of my voiceovers. It's a great microphone. I've got this attached to one of these like Rode arms that are also clamped onto my desk. This allows for me to move this in any which way, and it's super easy just to put this arm out of the way when I'm not using it. When I'm using it, bring it in. I've got this attached to a cloud lifter through an XLR into the Scarlett Focusrite 212, I think it's called. That connects directly by USB-C into my MacBook, and that's how I record all of my audio. And it's a super easy, efficient way. I've got a bunch of things in my Focusrite, a bunch of like gotcha, a couple darumas, random things that I love. I have them on top of there just for decoration. Moving along and just talking about a bunch of random other things that I have on my desk. I've got a bunch of like smaller trinkets and trays where I hold coins, different attachments for my cameras, random things like pins and stuff. I've got a bunch of great Master Roshis. I got my Contax T3 and this cool Kodak showcase stand that I found at a flea market. I've got a stack of Popeye magazines. Popeye is like a fashion magazine for teenagers, young adults in Japan. Their design language is beautiful, but I've just got a giant stack here. And on top of that, I've got this orange Nestle lamp, which I think just adds a little bit of warmth to this overall space. A lot of this orange you see isn't actually from this lamp. There's actually a cheap Switty light in the back there. It's like one of those RGB lights you can get on Amazon. I just have it super orange pointed into the back here to kind of like illuminate this backspace and make it feel like this light is producing all of that orangeness, but it's not actually. It's just to kind of like fill in this room. I've got a couple Monbel knife keychains that are really useful for opening boxes that I use every day, and a bunch of other random knickknacks. One of the best investments I've ever made is getting a great ergonomic chair to sit in. I spend most of my days sitting at this desk, so I thought might as well invest in a nice place for my back. And I'm using the Herman Miller sail chair in all black. This I got secondhand for like maybe $300 or $400, but maybe not even that much, $300 or $400. And it's honestly such a great investment. The Aeron was another one that I was looking at for a while, but I went to the Herman Miller store in Futako Tamagawa and I tried out this sail chair. I also tried out the Aeron chair as well, and a bunch of other ones. And I like this one the most, so I decided to purchase this secondhand. I got it and it's ridiculously comfortable. It fits perfectly, and I like how it's like not too big of a footprint either. It's a pretty small chair. Not specifically my desk, but just what I'm using to like light myself is the Aperture 300D2, I think, along with the 30-120 softbox. But having this rectangle shape allows for light just on myself and keeps everything else kind of like dark and moody because I have like that honeycomb grid. So that coupled with like this XDR display light is what I'm using right now to light myself. So as you can tell, I'm not a minimalist by any means. I love having a bunch of things on my desk that I can gain inspiration from at a moment's glance. I can grab. They're great for props in videos and reels, and it just makes me feel energized and excited to work here. When you have a space that kind of gives you inspiration and gets you really motivated to do things, I feel like you make better work and you enjoy the process, and it just makes everything a lot more fun. If you have any questions on anything on my desk or anything that I use, feel free to leave it in the comments below. Please like, subscribe. I appreciate it. Check out my store for LUTs, sound effects, all that jazz. If you've made it to the very end, leave me a comment, maybe the word wizard. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.